Ayo, what up gamers, Porcupine here, and 2021 has been over for a little while now, and I usually break down the top 10 games of the year, but I thought this year we'd do something a bit different and also count down my favorite movies of the year, because I do love cinema as well. And, this might be a bit of a contrast since games were so fucking horrible this year. I can actually reflect on some things that I actually did enjoy from the year, some good movies. Also, Moist Critical did not do the Moisties this year, where he usually breaks down his favorite movies. So I thought I would fill the void of that has been left by Moist. And I do just want to say that my movie taste does have a bias towards action movies that feature graphic violence and sex. I'm just kind of edgy, guys, so yeah, if you're looking for some artsy Oscar-nominated type movies, you're probably going to think this list is trash. But yeah, I just want to issue that warning there. So without further ado, let's get into our list. So firstly, I want to give an honorable mention to a movie that didn't quite make the list, No Time to Die. And this is the newest James Bond film, the last Daniel Craig James Bond. And I would say it is a pretty enjoyable film. It's not the best James Bond, but I think if you're a fan of the Daniel Craig movies, it's a pretty good send-off to the character, and definitely worth a watch if you're a fan of James Bond. Another movie that I wanted to shout out that didn't quite make the top 5 here is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And yeah, this is a pretty good film, one of the new Marvel movies of this year. Follows a guy named Shang-Chi who's this, I don't even remember, somehow he has some sort of superpowers. I kind of forget the plot of the movie, honestly, it was kind of a long time ago. The main reason I put it on the list is because the action is amazing. It's very John Wick type shit where there's action shots that are all one shot and you can clearly see everything that's happening, instead of the typical Marvel action where it's just they're cutting 50 times. And you can barely even tell what the fuck is happening. And the fight scenes are kung fu style shit. It's very cool. It's a very good movie. The only thing I didn't like about the movie is the one comedic relief character played by Awkwafina. I don't remember her name because it was some shit in Chinese. But anyway, yeah, she was extremely unfunny. It almost made the movie unwatchable. They brought back the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, and I was laughing more at what he was saying than anything Awkwafina said throughout the whole movie, and he's barely even in the movie. But yeah, and then she ends up beating the final boss at the end because she learns how the end is fucking terrible. But anyway, it's definitely worth the watch if you like action movies for the choreography of the fight scenes. So yeah, moving on to our top 5 here. Number 5. I'm going to give it to Don't Look Up. And yeah, this is the new comedy movie from director Adam McKay, who has made Step Brothers, Talladega Nights, Anchorman, The Big Short. I don't usually like comedy movies, but he's just made banger after banger after banger. And I think he's done it again with Don't Look Up here. And yeah, so the movie centers around a scientist played by Leonardo DiCaprio and another scientist played by some white bitch. And they discover that a meteor is coming towards Earth and is going to cause a mass extinction event. And the movie is kind of a satire on the political climate of the United States with, half the country is look up at the meteor, guys, we need to do something. And then the other half is the meteor doesn't even exist. They're only telling you there's a meteor to, control you out of fear. And the movie is meant as a satire of climate change denial mainly. But I think it can be applied more broadly to really any sort of anti-science sentiments. I saw a lot of parallels between the movie and a lot of the COVID conspiracy stuff, with people thinking that the vaccine is a ploy by the Jews to microchip us and make our testicles fall off, or that, the CCP intentionally created the virus with 5G towers, and that if we assault enough Chinese people, that will somehow fix the virus. And don't get me wrong, I hate the CCP just as much as the next guy. I think Kim Jong-un is a faggot. We don't really support fascist dictatorships on this channel. But yeah, that being said, I don't think raping Asians is gonna accomplish much of anything. Anyway, that was a bit off topic there, but the point I was trying to get at is with all these COVID conspiracies and everything, I do think the movie is fairly accurate in that if there was some sort of mass extinction event about to happen, I think a lot of the country would either not really care or just think it's completely fake. And that's really what the movie tries to poke fun at. They also kind of make fun of, corruption in our political system with the president doesn't really care about the meteor as long as she's going to get reelected in the next midterm or whatever the fuck. They also satirize like capitalism as well. There's like this autistic billionaire character kind of akin to Elon Musk, and he doesn't want to destroy the meteor because he wants to harvest like gold from it. And that kind of contributes to why the meteor inevitably destroys the earth in the end. And yeah, I think the film just does a really good job at illustrating how political interests, capitalist interests sometimes go against actually solving serious threats to the world. The one thing I didn't like about the movie is sometimes they're very heavy-handed with kind of like really beating you over the head. Like, do you understand, guys? Misinformation is bad. Do you get the message of the movie? Like, we need to take these issues seriously, guys. Do you understand? It's very like, at points treating the audience like they're mentally retarded, which I kind of found a bit offensive. Yeah, I think the satire would work better if they kind of let the audience draw their own conclusions instead of spelling it out to them like they're 5 years old. But other than that, I would say probably like 85% of the time the satire is on point. Leonardo DiCaprio is very funny in it. Jonah Hill is very funny in it. And I just think it's a pretty all-around good satirical film. And even if you don't agree with the message of the movie, if you're like a climate change denier or something, I still think you can get some enjoyment out of the film. I watched it with 2 climate change deniers, and they both enjoyed the movie. So, yeah, I would recommend it for everybody. If you like satire, check it out. Moving on, we got the number 4 movie of the year. We got Bad Trip. The movie stars comedian Eric Andre, who you may know from his Adult Swim show. And the premise of the movie is Eric Andre is like madly in love with this, I think like it's his high school crush or something. It's a girl he barely knows, and he's like traveling across the country to go, try to ask her on a date. And yeah, the movie follows Eric Andre's character and his friend as they go on this road trip, and a lot of shenanigans ensue. And the movie is kind of in the spirit of Eric Andre's show, where he's actually interacting with real people, getting their reactions to the wacky shit that he's saying. It's very similar to the film Borat, where there's like a narrative happening, but it also involves real people as part of the narrative. And yeah, Eric Andre is very good at this improvisational comedy, interacting with real people, and some of the pranks they pull are absolutely hilarious. There's a prank where he has his dick out in a barber shop, and this barber got so mad he almost fucking stabbed Eric. Yeah, it's just shit like that. Absolutely crazy. He gets raped by a gorilla as one of the pranks. If that's not enough to sell you on the movie, I don't know what is. But yeah, this is one of my favorite comedy movies of the year, hands down. And yeah, if you're an Eric Andre show fan, this is a must-watch movie. If you're a fan of shows where comedians are actually interacting with real people, getting their reactions, like, Borat, Bruno, the Impractical Jokers show, it's kind of similar to that. If you like any of that stuff, you will definitely enjoy this movie. It's a banger. And moving on, we got number 3 movie is going to be Judas and the Black Messiah. Yeah, and this movie is about the assassination of Fred Hampton. Spoiler alert, he dies at the end. But yeah, anyway, the CIA sends an undercover op into the Black Panthers to like get dirt on them, kind of, and it eventually turns into them assassinating Fred Hampton, obviously. But yeah, I didn't really know the story. It's a pretty crazy story. It blew my fucking mind. Check it out. I don't really want to spoil anything. Fred Hampton, by the way, was one of the leaders of the Black Panther Party, if I didn't make that clear. But yeah, so moving on to number 2 movie. Number 2, we got SpiderMan No Way Home. And this is an absolute slapper. I mean, it is a wet dream for Spider-Man fans. They bring back all the classics. All the villains are back. Willem Dafoe absolutely kills it as Green Goblin. Doc Ock absolutely kills it. And Sandman, Lizard, and Electro are in the movie. And yeah, we follow Tom Holland's Spider-Man as he tries to defeat all these villains that have come back to his world. I don't know if they That's a spoiler how they got to the world, so I won't really mention that. But yeah, just everything about the movie is stellar. The acting's good, the action's good, everything about it is amazing. The only thing that sucks is, of course, Zendaya is in the movie, playing her typical edgy emo character that just constantly talks about how she wants to kill herself, as if that's like supposed to be funny. Her character's unbearable as always. And also, I did want to mention Electro's involvement in the movie made absolutely no sense. Spoiler alert, the reason they get summoned to the world is because Doctor Strange makes a spell that accidentally brings people that know Spider-Man as Peter Parker into the universe. But Electro didn't even know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. He even jokes that he thought Spider-Man was black or whatever because he has swag or something.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
So yeah, he didn't even know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That doesn't even make sense. He died before he found that out. And also, Electro is like a completely different character in this movie. He's not blue anymore. He just looks like a normal dude. And not only does he look different, he's like acts completely different. In the original movie, original Amazing Spider-Man 2, he's like some hyper autistic, like hyper awkward nerdy guy who's like weirdly obsessed with Spider-Man. And now he's just like a normal dude, like making quips with people. It's like, it would be like if they brought back Thor in the new Avengers movie and he's like an effeminate gay black man. It's just like, it's not even the same character. It doesn't make sense. It's as if they just thought people would forget about Amazing Spider-Man 2 and not even remember what Electro was, which, I mean, probably most people did forget. But yeah, it's just kind of weird, his inclusion. But yeah, other than that, definite banger of a movie and a strong recommend for Spider-Man fans or just fans of superhero movies in general. And now moving on to the movie of the year. Here. Moving on, number 1, we got Suicide Squad from James Gunn, the creator of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And yeah, James Gunn is a genius. This movie is genius. It is hilarious. It's got good gore, good action. It's just an all-around masterpiece of a film. So yeah, it is the sequel to the Suicide Squad movie. And it really has like barely anything to do with the first Suicide Squad. They kind of just pretend that didn't even fucking happen. Pretty sure there's almost no one even from the original Suicide Squad in this other than Margot Robbie and the main black woman. So yeah, you can really just pop into this movie without even having seen the first one and still have a good time. And yeah, whereas the first Suicide Squad was more of an action film, this goes more in a comedy direction. And it's a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn's previous work, but it also is R-rated, so they really go dark with some of the jokes. It's my sense of humor. And yeah, all the main characters are hilarious. John Cena's funny in it, the polka dot guy's funny, the Sylvester Stallone's in it as like a shark character that's funny. The only character I didn't really like is Harley Quinn. I just kind of find her annoying. Her whole joke is that she's just like really dumb, I guess. I don't know. Margot Robbie is good as the character, but I just didn't really find the character that entertaining. There are some good action scenes with her, and yeah, all the fight scenes are great. They go like 110% with the gore. And yeah, the final fight is, I don't really want to spoil it, but it's pretty hilarious. And yeah, the movie is just a masterpiece. So I would strongly recommend checking out Suicide Squad. And that's my movies of the year, guys.